Hi, meow. I'm Aaron Kitty Boy. Yeah, and this is a KTANE tutorial on not red arrows. Right here. Alright, so buckle up because this is gonna take a very long time to do. It's a very long module indeed. The goal of the module, what you're supposed to do is you get a starting number, and then you go in the manual and you put it through all of these lines of code here to output a number, and then you submit that number. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing here. So the only thing we need here is the serial number for the edge work, so I'm going to note it down right here. And we need the number in the middle, which is 15. Alright, so now let's start doing this. Alright, so I believe this coding here is in JavaScript. I'm not a coder, or I don't do anything with coding at all. But I know what all of these mean, what each phrase means, so I'll break it down for you in this tutorial right here. And just to make sure you're doing this module right. Because a lot of things here are pretty confusing if you don't know anything about coding, which it is very confusing for me, and I had to look up everything myself and do it myself until I got it right. Alright, so let's start. So any, I don't know what that means, but basically this is like our general index of variables that we're going to be using throughout the entire process. So it's best if you just copy paste this into your notes, and then you would fill in the bolded variables, or at least the variables it tells you. So yeah, let's do that. So it says int here for each one. If you don't know what that means, that is short. I'll write it down here. It is short for integer, which means you take only the integer part. So that means that if you get a number like 15, it equals 15. If you get a number like 12.5, it equals 12, because you're only taking the whole number parts and erasing the decimal entirely. So equals 12, you get a number like 9.444444333. It equals 9, because we're just taking the 9 part. Pretty simple. Alright, and then we got the phrase down here saying bool. Bool means boolean, which is basically like a true or false, I guess we'll call it lever, I guess. It's just you switch it between true or false, and then if at an instance it's asking if it's true, then you do this. If it's asking if it's false, then you do this. Pretty simple. Alright, so that's what that means. And I'll actually put these up here so we have space to work. Alright, and then the rest here is just variables here. So we got our start number, and then the equals are the starting number. Our starting number is the number we get from the module, which is 15. So that means it is 15 right now. Our key is our start number, which is this right here, so 15. Last digit is the last digit of the serial number, which is 7. So last digit of the serial number is 7. And then these are already filled out for us. Tick is 0, total count is 0, correct number is 11, dunce counter is 0, and our trigger is true. This is the name of our boolean, by the way. It's named trigger. So we gotta watch out for which booleans are named which. So yeah. Alright, so now we can get started at the start. These are the titles of each, I guess, paragraph of coding, I guess. If it tells you, alright, so sorry, I don't know what I was gonna say there. But anyway, let's start. Alright, so if. Alright, so what this if mean? If means asking if it's true. Yeah, so that's what if means. If, it means it's asking if it's true. So that means if starting number mod 2 equals 0. So let's see if this is true or not. So start number is 15 mod 2 equals 0. So does 15 mod 2 equals 0? 15 mod 2 equals 1. Nope, that is not true. So then we skip the entire thing. We skip until it says else. So we gotta know what else means as well. Else means if previous statement was false, try this. So yeah, that's what else means. Else means if the previous statement, so this previous if statement was false, or if previous if statement was false, try this. So since it was false, then we just do this. We do what it says next. It's either going to say else if new statement is true or false, and then continue. So else, and then we're going to do this. It says GMP or JMP S underscore O. What does GMP mean? GMP means jump, which means go to that paragraph of coding. That's basically what it means. Jump. It means go to that paragraph of coding. So it says GMP S underscore O. So we're going to go to S underscore O. And then we're just going to start at the beginning. So, and then it says, and start there. Alright, that's what that means. Alright, so now let's continue. If, so it's asking if this statement is true. If it is, you do what it says. If not, then you go to the next else. So key mod 10, sorry, key right now is 15 equals last digit. So 10, or no, 15 mod 10 is 5. Does 5 equal 7? Nope. That means you go to the next else. If 15 mod 10, which is 5, is more than 7, nope, that's not true. So we go to the next else, and then there's no if statement, so we're just going to do what it says. Key equals 50 minus key. So 50, so this is going to be our new key right here. We're going to replace the key with this equation right here. So 50 minus key, so our current key is 15, so we're going to put 15 there. 50 minus 15 is 35. So our new key is 35. And then now we continue after that. It says GMP CNT O underscore OB. Alright, so let's jump to there. Here it is right here. Alright, so now this is where it kind of gets confusing, so you might want to pay attention. Looks like we got new variables here that we should note down here. Alright, and then these variables are just used for this section, or actually no, not for this section. It might be used for other sections. It's just adding on new values, I guess you call it, or new titles of things. Alright, so let's see what we got here. int n equals math.absolute something, so key. Alright, so what the heck does this mean? So our variable is n, but what the heck does this mean? And this is kind of obvious actually. Math.abs equals absolute value, which is the distance away from 0. Because that's the absolute value in math, is the distance away from 0. Which basically, you just turn it into a positive if it's a negative. And then it just stays the same if it's positive. So it's saying, n, what's the absolute value of the key? So what's the absolute value of 35? It's 35. So that means n is 35. And then our cycle count is 0, and then our count is 0 for now. Alright? Now this is where it gets confusing. So it says while this statement, and then a bunch of stuff to do. So what does this mean? So what does while mean? While means while this statement is true, do the thing until it's false. That's what while means. So basically it's telling us while this statement is true, you're going to keep doing this until it's not true anymore, and then you're going to stop. So yeah, that's what it means. So since n is 35, is 35 more than 0? Yes, it is. So we're going to keep doing it until this statement is not true anymore. So let's do it. So let's say, and then we have a new variable right here as well. So you should copy that down and paste it here. A equals n mod 2. So 35 mod 2 is 1. So A equals 1. Now let's move on to the next one. If A equals 1, yes it does. Also, we should probably note this down as well. Equals is right there. Alright, so anyway, let's continue. So yeah, since A equals 1, we're going to do this. So it says count plus plus now. So what does that mean? So plus plus equals add that value, or sorry, increment that value by plus 1. That's what it means. It's just telling you to add 1 to that value, to that current value. So count plus plus means just add 1 to the count. That's what it means. Next, and then we move on. N equals n divided by 2. So we're going to get a new n value here. 35 divided by 2 is 13.5. No, I am mathing very bad here. I need the calculator. 17.5. There we go. But it says int, so we're going to take the only integer part, which is 17. So it's actually 17. And then it says cycle count plus plus. So increment the cycle count by plus 1. Alright, there we go. Now we got through this section, but this is a loop. It's a while. So it says while this statement is true, do the thing until it's, I'm going to change it to keep doing the thing until it's false. There we go. That's better. So we're going to keep doing this until it's false. So since it's true still, 17 is more than 0, we're going to do it again. A equals n mod 2, and 17 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so we're going to plus the count by 1. 17 divided by 2, 17 divided by 2 is 8.5, which is actually 8 because we just removed the decimal. And then plus the cycle count by 1. Alright, it's still true, so we gotta do it again. 8 divided by 2 is 0. 8 doesn't equal 1, so we don't do the count. okay? And then we go here. N equals n divided by 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, plus the second count by 1. And then we keep doing it because it's true again. N divided by 2 is 4 mod 2 is 0. A doesn't equal 1, so we don't increment the count. 4 divided by 2 is 2, plus the second count by 1. 2 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 2 mod 2 is 0. A doesn't equal 1, so we don't do the count. 2 divided by 2 is 1, plus the second count by 1. 1 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 1 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so plus the count by 1. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5, but we only take the integer part, so 0. It's just 0. Plus the second count by 1. Alright, now, is 0 more than 0? No, it's false. So that means we're done doing this now. We can move on. Now, total count equals total count plus count. So, we're gonna change our total count here, number, to this equation. So 0 plus count is 3. So 0 plus 3 is 3. So our total count is 3. Alright, now we can move on to here. If tick, this is our tick right here, it's 0. If 0 is more than 2, nope, it's not true. Alright, so let's move on to the next if. Cycle count mod 2 equals 0. So cycle count, so 6 mod 2 is 0. So yes, this is true, so we're going to do what it says. Jump OV. Alright, so we're going to jump to this part. Alright, so if trigger, so this is our trigger right here, equals true, yes. So that means we're going to do all the preceding things right here. Not this one, because this is what happens if it was false. So let's see what happens. So let's do it. So let's do this part. So trigger equals false. Okay, so we gotta set this trigger to false now. Alright. Key equals, okay, so we're changing our key number. Key equals key, so 35 times cycle count is 6 plus 1, which is 7, so 35 times 7 is 245. 245. Alright, so now we can skip this because that's what we do if it was false. So what's next? So tick plus plus, so we're going to increment the tick by 1. And it says jump CNT OB. Alright, so that's back up here. Alright, and then and then it looks like we have to do the entire thing over again. Alright, so yeah, we have to do the entire thing over again. So the absolute value of the key is, and it's going to replace the current ends, and this is where it's going to restart. It's 245. It's a huge number though. We're going to do this a lot. Sub count 0. Count is 0. Alright, and then we are now, since we already know what to do here, we can kind of speed this up because it's going to take a little while. But I'm going to keep explaining as I go, just so you're on the same page, I guess. Alright, so we're just going to do this entire thing over again. So 245 is more than 0, so let's do it. 245 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so count by 1. 245 divided by 2 is 122.5, which is just 122. Plus the cycle count by 1. 122 is more than 0, so we have to keep doing it. 122 mod 2 is 0. A doesn't equal 1, so we don't do the count. 122 divided by 2 is 61. plus the cycle count by 1. 61 is more than 0, we gotta do it again. 61 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so count goes up by 1. 61 divided by 2 is 30.5, which is actually 30. Plus the cycle count by 1. 30 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 30 mod 2 is 0. A equals 0, so we don't do the count. 30 divided by 2 is 15, plus the cycle count by 1. 15 is more than 0, let's do it again. 15 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, count goes up by 1. Now it's 3. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, which is actually just 7. Plus the cycle count by 1, now it's 5. 7 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 7 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so count goes up by 1, now it's 4. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5, which is just 3. Cycle count goes up by 1, now it's 6. 3 is more than 0, so we gotta do it again. 3 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so count goes up by 1, so that's 5. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, which is actually just 1. Cycle count goes up by 1, now it's 7. 1 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 1 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1. Count goes up by 1, now it's 6. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5, which is just 0. Cycle count goes up by 1, now it's 8. 0 isn't more than 0, so now we're done with this. Now we change our total count. Total count equals total count plus count. So our total count is 3, our count is 6. 3 plus 6 is 9. Alright. If tick, so if 1 is more than 2, nope. If cycle count mod 2 equals 0, yes, 8 mod 2 equals 0, so jump to OV. Alright, let's go. If trigger is true, nope, it is false. So we go to else. Key equals key plus cycle count. So our new key now, so 245 plus 8, because that's our cycle count, is 253 is our new key. Alright, so we're done with that. Tick plus plus, so tick goes up by 1. Jump to CNTOB. Alright, so back up here, hard restart, we gotta do it all over again. Our N is 253, our counts get reset to 0, and we gotta do it all over again. Alright, so 253 is more than 0, so let's do it. 253 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so count goes up by 1, now it's 1. 253 divided by 2 is 126.5, which is actually just 126. Take only the integer part. Cycle count goes up by 1. 126 is more than 0, so let's keep going. 126 mod 2 is 0. A equals 0, so we don't do the count. 126 divided by 2 is 63. Plus cycle count by 1, now it's 2. 63 is more than 0, so let's keep going. 63 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so count goes up by 1, now it's 2. 63 divided by 2 is 31.5, which is actually just 31. Cycle count goes up by 1, now it's 3. 31 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 31 mod 2 is 1. Count goes up by 1 because A equals 1. 31 divided by 2 is 15.5, which is just 15. Cycle count goes up by 1. Now it's 4. 15 is more than 0, so we gotta do it again. 15 mod 2 is 1. equals 1, so count goes up by 1, now it's 4. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, which is just 7. Cycle count goes up by 1. 7 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 7 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so count goes up by 1, now it's 5. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5, which is actually 3. Cycle count goes up by 1, now it's 6. 3 is more than 0, so we gotta do it again. 3 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so count goes up by 1, now it's 6. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, which is just 1. Cycle count goes up by 1, now it's 7. 1 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 1 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so count goes up by 1, now it's 7. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5, which is just 0. Cycle count goes up by 1, now it's 8. 0 isn't more than 0, so we're good to now move on. We're going to change our total count. Total count equals total count plus count. So total count is 9 plus count is 7 equals 16. Our total count is 16. Awesome. Okay, yeah. Tick. If tick is more than 2, nope, 2 isn't more than 2. If cycle count, yep, e modulo 2 is 0. Yes, 8 mod 2 is 0. Jump to OV. Alright, jump down here. If trigger is true, nope, it's false, so we do this. Key equals, so we're changing our key. Key is 253 plus cycle count is 8 equals 61, 261. So our new key is 261, and then it says tick plus plus, so tick it by 1. And then jump CNTOB. Now we jump all the way back up here, do it again. I do this a bunch of times. Our N is 261. Get these out of here, and then hard restart those, and then let's do it again. Well, 261 is more than 0. Yep, it is. So let's do it. 261 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so count goes up by 1. 261 divided by 2 is 130.5, so what's actually 130? Cycle count goes up by 1, now it's 1. 130 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 130 mod 2 is 0. A equals 0, so don't do the count. 130 divided by 2 is 65. Cycle count goes up by 1, now it's 2. 65 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 65 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so count goes up by 1, now it's 2. 65 divided by 2, 32.5, which is actually just 32. Cycle count goes up by 1, now it's 3. 32 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 32 mod 2 is 0, A equals 0, so don't do the count. 32 divided by 2 is 16. Cycle count goes up by 1. 16 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 16 mod 2 is 0. A equals 0, so don't do the count. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Cycle count goes up by 1, now it's 5. 8 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 8 mod 2 is 0. A equals 0, so don't do the count. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Cycle count goes up by 1, now it's 6. 4 is more than 0, so let's do it again. 4 mod 2 is 0. A equals 0, so don't do the count. And, or 4 divided by 2 is 2. Cycle count goes up by 1, now it's 7. 2 is more than 0, so we gotta do it again. 2 mod 2 is 0. A equals 0, don't do the count. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Second count goes up by 1, now it's 8. 1 is more than 0, gotta do it again. 1 mod 2 is 1. A equals 1, so count goes up by 1, now it's 3. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5, which is 0. Second count goes up by 1, now it's 9. 0 isn't more than 0, so we're good with that, we can move on. We're going to change our total count. Total count is now our total count, so total count is 16, plus count plus 3 is 19. Our new total count is 19. Alright, if tick, so 3 is more than 2, yes, 3 is more than 2, jump to fork A. Alright, so let's go to fork A. Alright, this is fork A. It looks like we got a new integer here. So let's note that down, copy paste into here. Let's figure it out. It's named x. X equals 32 minus total count. So 32 minus 19 is 13. So our x is 13. Alright. If trigger is true, nope, it's false. So we're going to skip to else. Or else key, so we're changing our key. Key equals key minus 10, so 261 minus 10 is 251, so just 251. Jump to AFL. Alright, so we gotta jump to AFL. Alright, so now this part. Ooh, now okay, now it's this part. Alright, so now this is a really confusing part, so this is the most confusing part out of the entire module. So hopefully you listen in. So first we got a new variable here, so let's note it down. It is named AFL, and then it equals our total count. So our total count is 19. Our last digit is 7. So 19 minus 7 is 12. So 12 plus 4 is 16. So that means our AFL is 16. Alright. So to be fair, our AFL. Okay, now it says for int I equals 0, this thing, and then this thing. Now, what does this mean? What does all this mean? What does for mean? We gotta figure out what for means. So for is kind of similar to wow, but it's a little bit more weird than that for some reason. I don't know why. So for equals, so it's telling you to start with this because this is its first thing, and then is this statement true? Do the following, then do the following, or when false, done, and then do this. Do this after doing the following, and then loop back to true or false statement. That's the best way I can say that, not gonna lie. So what does it mean? So like, what does it mean? So it says for right here, it's right here. I'm just gonna do it like that. Actually, I'll keep it like this. Yeah, it's better. Okay, so it says for. So it says start with this. So this is, so when it says for integer, so this is a value right here. We should note that down. So we're gonna start with India equals 0, right? All right. So we're gonna start with that, and then now this is a true or false statement right here. So is India less than X-ray? So is 0 less than 13? Yes. So that means now we're gonna do all of this now. All the things under it now. So let's do it. So let's see what the first one says. If start number, so 15 mod AFL, so 15 mod 16 is 0. No, 15 mod 16 is 15. So this is an if statement. We would have done these things. So because it's not true, we're just going to move on down here. So AFL gets plus by 1. And then our key is key equals key, so 251 plus AFL minus India, so 17 minus 0 is 17. So that means our new key here is 268. Okay, now that we did the following, and then, but if it was false, we would have been done. So because it was true, we did the following. So now we do this thing after the following, and then loop back to the true or false statement. So it says right here, India plus plus. So we're gonna increment India by 1, and then we're gonna loop back to this true or false statement right here. And then if it's true, you would do the following. If it's false, you would not do the following. And then you'd be done, and then you move on to the next section. So that's what it means. So remember, start with this, check if this is true. If it's true, do the thing afterwards, do this, and then check again for this. And then keep doing it until it's false. That's what it's basically saying here. I do not know why it's like not a new line, but hey, well, you know what you could really do? It's just, you can't really control it. But yeah, that's what it means. Now, this is also really confusing because it could happen is continue, because we've never seen this problem. What does continue mean? Now, careful, this is a little bit this is a little bit confusing, but continue means to end the current iteration and start up the next one immediately. So the key word here is start. So continue means we're ending the current iteration. So after doing this, so let's say if this was true, right? You would do this, and then you would do this. So you would continue. Continue means to end the current iteration. So you would end the entire iteration. Don't do the loop. Don't do anything further. So you wouldn't do this at all. Instead, you would loop back up to the start of the next iteration, which is this, and then do it again. Or I mean you would still do the India plus plus, but you would do, and then you would loop back up here. So if this was in practice, so let's say if this happens right now, if this statement was true, so let's say if it was true, this is just an example. I'm just gonna put an example right here. So right now our key is 268 plus AFL, which is 17. So you would do, so now it would become 85, 285. So that's our key, and then now it'd say continue. So now you're gonna increment India by 2. And then you're going to check this, and then check this again. And then keep doing it until, again, this is false. That's what continue means. So, in hindsight, you would ignore this entirely, and then now, what this has become turned into, instead of doing this, you're now just adding the AFL number that's never going to change to the key until this statement is false, where India is not less than X-ray anymore. So you just keep adding 17, 17, 17. In this case, it's 17. It might be a different number for you, depends on your AFL. Until India is not less than X-ray, which is 13, which X-ray is 13. So yeah, that's what it means. it would change into you just keep adding 17 instead of doing this. But in this case, it does not happen. So let's revert everything back to normal. So this is what it was before I explained it. So yeah, that's what continue means. Be careful on that. You gotta really be careful and know what continue means if you want to do this module right. So yeah, that's what continue means. Be careful on that. Because again, you have to get the output number right in order to solve this module. If like one step is wrong, the entire thing's gonna mess up, so you want to really be careful. Alright, so anyway, let's continue now. So where we left off was figuring out if this was true or false. It's true, so let's do the thing. If is 15 mod 17 equals 0, nope. To be honest, we can kind of cheat this a little, by the way, which I will show you a little cheat method, because we're going to have to do this a lot of times, which x rate equal 13 is a pretty large number for this. So we're going to have to do this a lot, but we can kind of cheat this, because if our start number is always 15, and then if our AFL always goes up by 17, 18, 19, 20, then our 15 mod 20, 15 mod 19, 15 mod 18, 15 mod 17 would always be 15. So it will never ever equal 0. So basically, this statement will never ever be true. So we can kind of cheat it like that, but you gotta make sure if that's the right case in order on your side, because every time you do this module it's different. Just make sure it's true on this case. So that means we're always going to be doing this. So why don't we just start doing this? Because we never have to check this, because it's always going to be false anyway. So let's do this. Our AFL is 17, so we gotta add it 1, so now it's 18. Our key is key plus AFL minus India, so 18 minus 1 is 17. So once 268 plus 17 is 285. 285. Alright, so that's our oh god, okay, sorry. So that's our new number. So now we increment India by 1, because that's the last thing we have to do. And then we check if it's true. So here, let me do it one more time to see where the cheat is happening. So again, so we're going to do it again. So we don't have to check this, because we already know it's always going to be false. So AFL becomes 19. 19 minus 2 is 17. Key plus 17, so 285 would be 302. So our new number is 302. Okay, so you can kind of see what's happening here. We just added 17 3 times in total, and then we got 302. So that means that every single time, oh yeah, we gotta increment this by 1, I almost forgot. Every time we do this again, we're just gonna add 17 to the key every single time. So you can kind of see the cheat here. We don't have to do all the math and stuff. And the only way we know when to stop is when this is false. So it's when India becomes 13, because that's the first point when India is not less than x rate. So now we just gotta see how much more times we just add 17 to the number. But we also gotta keep track of what the AFL is, because we might need that later in the module. So we gotta also make sure keep track of what our AFL is. So we're just gonna keep doing this over and over again. Keep adding 17 and stuff until until we get to the point of this becoming false, and that's where we can stop. Alright, so let's do it. So in this case, it is true, so plus 1 to AFL, now it's 20. We add 17, now it's 319. Our India is 4 now. Alright. AFL is 21, add 17, India is now 5. Alright, let's keep going. 22 plus 17. This goes up by 1. It's still there. Let's keep going. 23 plus 17. India is 7. I'm doing it in the order of what the manual says, just in case that we don't mess anything up. Alright, 24 plus 17. Now this is 8. Let's keep going. 25 plus 17. Plus, now it's 9. Alright, now it's 26 plus 17 plus 10. Alright, plus 27 plus 17. This is now 11. Now this is 28 plus 17. And then this is now 12. Let's do it again. Plus 9. 17. And then plus 1. Alright, so our number right now is 472. Now we just incremented India by 1, so we just did this part right here. So now we're looping back over to check if this is true or false. So right now the number India is 13. So is 13 less than 13? No, it's not. So now we're finally done with the section. So now our key now is 472 now. That's our key. Alright, so now it says GMP PRCH. Alright, so let's go down here to PRCH. Alright, so what do we do here? It looks like we got a new integer. So our new integer is Romeo, which equals 0. We got a new boolean function here. So, and it's named flag, and it's false right now. Alright. Looks like we're determining what R is. So R is the absolute value of the key. So 472, the absolute value of 472 is 472 divided by 2. So what's that? Is 236. That means R is 236. Alright. Alright. Okay, now if, and then it gives us 2 true or false statements. So, well, what does this mean right here? What is this? What does these 2 bars mean? This is OR, which means 1 or more have to be true to output true, otherwise false. That's basically what OR is, if you've been doing logic on KTANE, I guess. Or just means 1 or more statements have to be true. Statements have to be true to output true, otherwise false. That's what OR means. Very simple. So that means it's asking us, is the absolute value of the key 0 or 1? So it's right now it's 472. So that's not true. So that means we're going to go to else right here. And then now it says 4 again, and then you're kind of seeing the same thing here. 4, start with this. This is your statement. Do this at the end. Alright, so we should note down this new integer, so it's Quebec equals 2. Alright. So now, is Quebec less than Romeo? Yes. Okay, so now we're going to do what it says. Alright, so now this word, it said to continue right here, but now what does break mean? It's a new term. Break is, well, the opposite of continue. But you still end the current iteration. So you still end the current iteration, but that's it. You just do that. You just end the current iteration right then and there, and then you move on to the next. That's the difference between continue and break. Continue being you end the current iteration, but you start it back up again. But when it's break, you just end it completely and then move on. That's what break means. Alright, so yeah, just in case we get to there. But for now, we're right here, so let's do this. If key, so 472, mod 2 is 0, yes, it is. So we're going to do these things. So it says flag equals true. Okay, so we're going to put the flag to true. And then we're going to jump to key CMP. Okay, so let's go to key CMP. Alright, so looks like right here we got a new integer. So let's note that down. B equals 1. We got another new variable. So we got v equals x-ray. Okay, so x-ray right now is 13. So 13 mod last digit is 7 plus 1 is 8. 13 mod 8 is 5. Yep, it's 5. So that means v equals 5. Alright, and then it says v equals v plus 5, so we're just going to add 5 to this, and now v is 10. Alright, so now it's 4 int and stuff. We're seeing the same exact thing here again. So since it's using the India again, there can't be two Indias. It's its own unique thing, you know? So that means we're going to replace this current India we have here as 13 back to 0 because it's talking about this India. It's not talking about some other India, you know? So yeah, just to make that clear. So right now our India, there can only be one variable of like something like that's coding, I guess. I don't know, because the computer can't tell which one's which. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna put our India to 0. So this is what we're gonna start with. This is our statement, true or false statement, and this is what we do at the end after each loop. Alright, so let's see. So what we have to do. So it says b equals b plus India. So 1 plus 0 is 1, so our b is 1 still. And then it says key equals, so we're changing our key. Okay, so 472 plus total count. So total count is 19 mod 1, so 19 mod 1 is 0. It always is. Everything mod 1 is 0. So key plus 0 is, well, going to be our key, which is 472. So 472 plus 0 is 472, of course. So that means, yeah, our key stays 472. So here, I'm actually going to note it down here because we're going to keep looping until we're done. So I'm just going to put the history of the key right here, just in case we're on the right track, so I can just change it, so I'm going to keep changing it up here. Anyway, let's continue. So now that we did that, now at the end we increment India by 1. Alright, and then now we check if this statement is true. It is true, so we do it again. B equals b plus India, so 1 plus 1 is 2, so b is 2. And then total count, so 19 mod 2 is 1, so key plus 1 is 473, so now that's our new. Now we increment India by 1. Alright, let's check if this is true. It is still true. 2 is less than 10, so let's do it again. B, so 2 plus 2 is 4, so b is 4. Alright, 19 mod 4 is 3, so 473 plus 3 is 476. Oh, okay. Alright, and then we increment India by 1, so now it's 3. 3 is less than 10, so that statement is still true, so let's do it again. 4 plus 3 is 7. 19 mod 7 is 5, so 481 is our new key. And then we increment India by 1. Alright. 4 is less than 10, so let's do it again. 7 plus 4 is 11. 19 mod 11 is 8, so 489 is our new key. Increment India by 1. And then 5 is less than 10, so let's do it again. 5 plus 11 is 16. 19 mod 16 is 3, so 492 is our new key. India, increment India by 1, now 6. 6 is less than 10, let's do it again. 16 plus 6 is 22. 19 mod 22 is 19, so 492 plus 19 is 511. Increment India by 1. 7 is less than 10, let's do it again. 22 plus 7 is 29. 19 mod 29 is 19. Now you're kind of seeing something here. It's always going, every 19 mod number bigger than 19 is always going to be 19. So basically we can always just add 19 here every time. But we still have to keep track of what our India and B is just in case we need it again. So we can just add 19 to this though, so this becomes 530. Alright, increment India by 1. And we also need to keep track of India just in case we know when to stop, because that's when we know when to stop when India turns 10, because 10 is not less than 10. Okay, alright, so let's do it again. 29 plus 8 is 37. And then, so we can just add 19, so 549. Increment India by 1. It's still true, so let's do it again. 37 plus 9 is 46. Plus 19, let's just use the calculators just so I don't get it wrong. Plus 19 is 568. Increment India by 1. Okay, so we just incremented India by 1. Now we check if it's true, so 10 is not less than 10. So we can move on. And our new key is 568. Jump to fork B. Alright, now we're actually getting close to the answer. So thank God. Alright, so we go to fork B. Now let's see if these are true. So trigger equals true, ampersand, ampersand, flag equals true. So what does this ampersand, ampersand mean? Now it's just like the OR here, but in this case, it's literally what it is. And that means both statements have to be true to output true, otherwise false. Basically, both of these have to be true in order for the entire thing to be true, and so we can do this right here. So let's see if it does. So does trigger equal true? No, it equals false. So that immediately equates all of this to false. So that means we don't do this, and then we go to the next else. If trigger equals true, nope, it's false. So this is, we go on next. If flag is true, yes, our flag is true. So we're gonna jump to answer C. Alright, so this is answer C right here. It's pretty redundant at this point. You should get it by now. If key, so 568 mod 10, which is 8, because that's just the last digit, equals last digit. Nope, 8 does not equal 7. Or else if key mod 10, so 8 is more than 7, is 8 more than 7? Yes, this entire thing is true. Alright, so this is what we're doing right here. Correct number equals, so this is our correct number, equals x-ray, so 13, plus last digit, which is 13 plus 7 is 20. So that means it's 20. Jump. So now we can move on to the next section. Jump last, okay. Correct number equals Math.absolute, so the absolute value of the correct number, so 20, modulo 100. So 20 modulo 100 is 20. So that means our number is 20. And then it says return. Alright, so now we're done here. So now we're done. So our returning number is 20. So that means we're going to submit 20. Now, I'm not too sure if that's right, to be honest. I just want to make sure if it's right. 20. Oh, yes, it is. Our expected value is indeed 20. We did it. Alright, so how you submit this module is right here, is in this paragraph right here. That's the start of this paragraph. The up and down ones will change the number by 1, while the left and right will change the number by 10. If you submit an incorrect number, it will result in a strike, and then it'll cause the module to generate an entirely new starting number. So that means the entire answer is going to change if you get it wrong. So don't get this module wrong, please, please, for the love of God. Alright, so we just gotta input 20. Going up and down increments it by 1, left and right is by 10. So let's just click the up arrow by 5. Oh, what? Oh, I see how it works now. Okay, it increments the left and right increments the tens digit, while the up and down increments it the ones digit. Alright, so and then we press the middle to submit.
This was exactly the way.
Alright, that's not red arrows on your keyboard. Meow. I hope you enjoyed that very long module. I hope you get what all this means. If you're struggling or you're having trouble doing something, you can DM me on Discord, or you can say this, or you can just say it in the comment section, and I'll answer immediately, because I don't want there to be any misconceptions about this module. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. That was not red arrows, and I'm Aaron Kitty Boy. Hope you enjoyed that. Bye.